Hey, this your boy Deontay the Bronze from Milwaukee.
What's up, guys? This is Uriah Faber.
What's up, guys? Stephen One Boy Thompson.
It's the IBA champion, Earl Smith Jr.
Cynthia Calvio.
Hi, this is Michaela Mayer.
Montana and Mark, the De La Rosas.
This is Daniel Miracle Man Jacob. Shout out to Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to the Slip and Dip podcast.
And you're listening
With your boy Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Woo! Back at you yet again. Slip and Dip podcast, episode 46. Back and better than ever. Kenny Johnson and Matthew Wells. You got an action-packed podcast. We're going to go straight immediately into the Canelo Triple G saga. I got some behind-the-scenes stuff. And we also got some great guests. The wonderful and talented Karyn Bryant will be making a I can't even talk right.
Slow it down, calm down.
I'm crunk, man. I'm crunk. We got Karyn Bryant up on here.
Use your words.
Your boy George Kennebrew for the George Kennebrew show. We got an action-packed guest-affiliated show.
Yeah, man. Fantastic interviews coming your guys' way. Karyn was amazing. George was amazing. You guys are really going to enjoy these interviews. But first, man, what is this big news? I hear something going on with Canelo and Triple G.
As well documented now that he got suspended on Friday for 10 days. He'll have a hearing April 10th in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But this is where the real stuff. I have a very close source to Canelo that told me, he calls me up, hey man, have you made plans for Vegas? Nah man, I think about doing it this weekend. Don't do it. Ooh, why not should I do it? Basically what's going to come to they can't let this slip. And unlike Mr. Mayweather, Canelo does not have ties to Las Vegas, so there's no incentive to even remotely cut a deal. Like they're eventually gonna fight again, but odds on I would say is it's not happening May 5th. I need a little bit more confirmation. April 10th will probably be that confirmation, but I do not think it's going down Cinco de Mayo 2018. So if you didn't book your travel for Vegas, you might want to get a refund because the man didn't fail 2 tests. And my whole thing is, regardless of peeing dirty, whatever. You're a multi-million-dollar damn boxer. How the hell you can't get you some regular-ass meat regardless of what the hell you from, and you got houses and condos and mansions in California? Come on, bruh.
Man, the whole Kennebrew thing is just weird. It's a weird thing, and I mean,
shady.
It's not necessarily shady. It's just that's a fact. Like that, it exists in the meat down there. So it's just like, and the testing for it is real shady too. So it's like, there's no indication that he's really trying to cheat here. I mean, it's just a thing. It's all a big mess. It's going to mess up Cinco de Mayo, big holiday. It's going to mess up the tradition of having a big boxing match on Cinco de Mayo weekend. Like, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's just terrible. I wish it would go away. But, unfortunately, it is what it is. That's where we're at. And we're looking at a delay.
Yeah, and then the whole boxing politics takes a full blast. I can't count like 7 or 8 people that had hit me up via text, called, or Facebook that are hardcore boxing people. Man, they're going to find a way to get it done. This time, a lot of people going to be in for some shock.
Yeah.
This is a serious matter. This is not a posture move. The fact that he has to go in front of the board less than a month before the fight, that's a damn red flag.
Yeah.
That's a damn red flag. And the fact that now they're saying there's 2, not 1, but 2 failed tests. Not looking good for Senor Canelo.
No, it's not. And, of course, Dan Rafael here on Twitter backing up everything that you're saying, that they didn't use their time on Saturday to promote their pay-per-view. It's just like, if production is in on it, like they know that, hey, we can't run this package because we got a lot of questionable things going on. We can't really throw that package out there. They have the card is subject to change thing. Well, it's subject to change altogether. So it's not like
I'm not looking at my travel like I usually. It's gonna be weird, man. Since my first fight was Mayweather Guerrero Cinco de Mayo weekend 2013. So the last 4 years I've been in Vegas for either Mayweather fight or last year I was out there for the Canelo Chavez. So it's gonna be very, very weird not being in Vegas in May. It's going to be very strange. I've been doing it for the last 4 years.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely big news, man. That's pretty much the biggest thing that happened in the boxing world this weekend, right?
But without a doubt, because if that fight don't go off, the next mega fight will hopefully happen at the end of this year, early next year, depending on what happens this weekend. Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, Showtime. I'll be watching live. I think we're gonna be in for a hell of a fight. I think it's gonna be way more competitive, regardless of who wins. I want Joshua to win, just so I can see my boy Deontay catch his ass with that right hand and shut everybody up, and I want to be there in person. Man, you have no idea how about if it's in North America, it could be in North Dakota. Your boy gonna be there.
Yeah, that's definitely the fight to make, but he's got a tough one this weekend to get through.
And Mr. Bomb Squad himself will be back on the slip and dip. I can't put a day on there, but I talked to him and his people. He's gonna come. Just we gotta get in where we fit in the schedule. Like he's flying to Wales as we speak to go do some commentating for the fight. It might be a week or two, but we will hear a Bomb Squad return to the slip and dip. One of the most action-packed interviews we've had so far on this show.
Yeah, it definitely was. If you guys haven't heard that, go back and listen. It's on the catalog. We did have Mr. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder on the show before, and we'll have him back on again.
Just listen to the intro.
Yeah, just listen to the intro. Obviously, you heard him on the intro. But yeah. So let's switch over to the biggest takeaway. Obviously, there's no UFC for a couple of weeks, so there's a lot of regional action going on. And my biggest takeaway from all the regional action this weekend was this mess that happened during LFA. For everybody watching on YouTube, I've got the clip playing right now. Or at least I thought I had the clip playing. There we go. Let me mute that so we don't get pulled off. But Mr. Drew Chapman doing that, using his opponent's back as a freaking springboard or a bouncy castle to do a front flip. I have so many things wrong with this.
What about the ref though? Kifo just gave a verbal warning.
He was trying to step in, as you can see, he's trying to step in right as the guy, right before he jumps, he's trying to step in. And of course, you're laughing, I can't laugh at this. I have there's nothing to laugh about on this. Opponent is knocked out. He's not completely out, but he has no idea what's going on. He is definitely on you-know-what street. And you decide to celebrate by jumping on his spine and front flipping. This thing disgusted me so much. Look at this. What are you doing? How did you think that was a good idea? In any way, shape, or form?
But at the same time, don't get knocked out.
No, hell no. There's no don't get knocked out. You don't get to jump on your opponent's spine. Ever. That is it's illegal. People were coming back at me on Twitter. Oh, the ref didn't stop the fight. That's illegal. You don't ever do that.
The ref didn't stop
the fight. It doesn't matter. You don't do that ever.
Well, how come the ref didn't penalize him though?
They did. He lost the win. They overturned. He got suspended. That's what came out just today. Is that he was suspended 90 days. He lost his $500 fight purse. And Mark Raimondi. That's what it was. It was his first pro fight. He was his pro debut, and then he does the stupidest shit I've ever seen in a cage before. And of course, there's people out there that are laughing. They think it's funny. They're gonna have jokes, but yeah. This is so disgusting, dude. You could have seriously injured this guy by doing that, by double stomping on his back, and the guy is not all the way there consciously. That. I was telling people back when I was cornering guys in Shreveport, if somebody did this to my guy that I was cornering, we were jumping over that cage and going after that dude. The fact that his corner didn't come out there and start some crap. Now, according to Miss Amy from Fansided, she was there. She was doing photography there, and she was in the cage right after it happened, obviously to get photos and whatnot. And she said the guy was just being super cocky about it, threatened to actually hit the other guy's corner man. Said he winked at her and he was doing something good. Dude, you just did the dumbest shit on video ever in the MMA cage, and it's absolutely disgusting. So he did have an interview with Mark Raimondi that came out today, and he was very apologetic and said he understands the gravity of the situation and all that yada yada. Believe it when I see it next time, bro. That's all I gotta say. I'll believe it when I see it next time.
Why are you so riled up though?
Because this is such an asinine thing to do. And like the fact that you thought jumping on your opponent's spine after he almost knocked himself out, essentially, you thought it was a good idea to do that. Like, I have no words for you other than just pure stupidity. Like, it pissed me off so much. And of course, it's gone viral now. It's all over the place. It's just, yeah. If you're it pissed me off so much, man. Like, I don't want to harp on it too much more because we got to get into the interview.
Man, get hype.
Yes. Like you said, like you told me, like you called me and you were like, "Hey, we see if we can get the guy on the show." Like, for what? For me to cuss him out? Like, because that's what I would do. If we had him on the show today, I would have just cussed his ass out for like 5 minutes straight. And of course, that's not how we want to conduct ourselves as journalists and podcast hosts. But I'm sorry, that's what would have happened.
Ah, man, my man is hype.
It's too real, man. It's too real. I'm sorry. I don't condone anything like that whatsoever. Like, even if the guy was 100% conscious and you did that, the fact that you did it while he was knocked out and trying to regain consciousness, just that much more worse. So, yeah. Drew Chapman, yeah, you can miss me with that stuff, bro. You can miss me with all that. Anyways, that's what it is, man. Yeah. So we got quite... Try to switch it back. Karyn Bryant, man, coming on the show.
Greatness.
First time.
If you're not familiar with her work, the lady, not only is she on FS1 and the host of UFC Tonight, but she's a legit journalist, folks. The lady has been on CNN and MTV anchoring. They don't just hand out their desk jobs to anybody. That's not a minority in this game. Let's be real. Don't happen. Or as my man Dewey Cooper would say, especially not in this Trump era.
In this climate. Yeah, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. But Karyn gives us some great stuff, man. It's a really, really enjoyable interview. So if you guys out there that are listening, you're like on the fence about Karyn, like you may hate her for some reason whatsoever, just listen to this. I guarantee you're gonna enjoy it. You may have a different outlook on Karyn because like she's a cool person straight up, and it's like she gets a lot of hate for some reason. It's the biggest mystery to me in this whole thing. I know a lot of internet trolls and Twitter trolls and hashtag MMA fans are gonna be like that, but yeah, she's a cool person. A great interview as well. You can definitely notice her camera presence if you're watching on YouTube because I don't think she looked away from the center of the camera once throughout the entire interview. So obviously, except for when she was doing like her little reactions and stuff, but she's definitely a professional and a great interview. And of course, followed up by my man George Kennebrew out there from Atlanta. Podcast host, great guy, covers the game as well, regional level, national level. I met him covering Bellator events, international fight weeks, things like that. So, good dude, and he brings a lot of good insight as well. He's funny too, so you guys are going to enjoy both of these interviews. Anything else, Kendrick, you want to get into before we hop into them?
Be leery of booking that flight, May 5th, 6th weekend. I'm kind of mad, man. It's like, man. But I will say this on a personal level, for all the stuff I got going on, it's the right time for it not to have that fight, but just for the sport in general, it's kind of sad that we have to wait for Canelo Triple G2.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, man. Damn Columbia Raw. Let's get this meat cleaned up down there, Mexico.
And some people ask about do we pick our outfits on? I just work because opening day come. I got my Mike Trout shirt on, got my authentic Falcons, Angels hat, and I see you got the Roberto Clemente.
Rocking the baseball gear today. Rocking baseball gear.
Like most people in this journalist game, we cover more than one sport. Expand your horizons. It makes expand your paycheck. Just saying.
Yes, and my 9 to 5 is literally 100% sports, all sports. So, it is what it is. And rocking the Roberto Clemente, one of my all-time favorite personalities and humanitarians of the game of baseball, and basically any sport really. And of course, rocking the Rangers hat, got it on backwards, but opening day is right around the corner, man. I'm getting hyped. Been listening to some spring training.
I'm not hyped, dude. I can't say I'm hyped.
I'm excited, man, because listen, like I listen to baseball games like. I have MLB.TV and like MLB, like I'll just listen. I throw on a baseball game. It don't matter.
But it's in your blood, though. It's in your blood, though.
It is, but I'll have games on all season. Like it don't matter who's playing. I'll just have games on. I do fantasy baseball and stuff, and it is.
He's that guy that plays for 9 months.
Hey, it's a grind, bro. It's a grind, and it's fun. It helps you keep up with everything going on. That's what makes it fun. But nevertheless, you guys are here for combat sports, and to bring you some combat sports talk first we're going to hit you guys with Miss Karyn Bryant and then
KB.
George Kennebrew. So guys, enjoy the show. Follow us on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, all the names are there on the screen. All the links are below as well. At Slip and Dip Podcast on Twitter. At Kendrick Johnso on Twitter. Me at Mr. M Wells Art. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Spreaker, SoundCloud. Yes, follow, like, subscribe, comment, give us 5-star reviews, whatever you can on iTunes. Please let us know how we're doing and enjoy these interviews. Until next time, peace.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip Podcast, the top female MMA commentator in the world today, co-host of UFC Tonight on Fox Sports 1, and the owner of MMAHeat.com, the great Karyn Bryant. Thank you for joining us, Karyn.
Hey, thanks for having me on. What an introduction. I'm flattered.
Give us some insight, too, because for somebody, me and Matt, I've probably been in the UFC game about 5 years. Matt been about 4, covering the stuff. How has it changed from what we see today from where it started, since you basically been there from the ground up?
Yeah, I mean, I got there a while ago. You know, the first time we got credentialed for a UFC show was around 2012 or so. In terms of the sport, obviously, it's much more common. It's much bigger. But if you're talking about how it's been covered by the media, that has changed a lot. Like, our access has changed a lot. We don't have as much freedom when we're at an event as we used to have. So there's a lot of things that have changed about it in terms of freelancers or people trying to make money or make their presence known covering the sport. That has definitely changed a lot, because as the sport grew, the UFC wanted to have more control over it because it was growing. And so it's a good thing for the athletes and for the sport on the whole to be bigger. It's a little tougher. It made it a little tougher for people who wanted to sort of jump in and start covering it. It definitely did get a little harder.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say, I guess being a female in this space where there's not a lot of females in the game. I mean, there's a couple of prominent ones, yourself, Megan O'Leary doing her thing. There's not really many. So being a woman in this space, I mean, have you found it challenging, or is it kind of like a thing where you're able to wear that superwoman cape in a way?
Let's see. At the beginning, it was a little bit more challenging in the beginning in a way, but not. So here's the thing. And I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not going to put anybody on blast. But I never got into this sport. I never got into any of my jobs going, I'm super fucking cute. And so I'm going to be able to just trade on the fact, like, I got it, right? That's never been my approach.
That's how Samos of all that.
Yeah, and so there have been people that have tried to get into covering the sport and who tried to just think that being cute was going to be enough. And they soon found out it's not enough. Okay, it's cool for a couple videos. You might get some views or whatever, but you have to have some substance, right? And so, because never have I ever been hired for a job, I've always been hired, I believe, and I really believe this from the reception I've got, but also just from hearing from my bosses, like, I got hired because I knew what I was doing or whatever, right? So being a woman at first was a little challenging because people would, all of our videos, whenever we would do an interview, there was tons of comments that were like, you know what they did after this interview, right? No, I actually didn't sleep with every single person that I interviewed. Like, I actually approached this as a professional. But, I get it. A lot of people think women are only doing it because they want to be around these guys or whatever. So at first that was a hurdle to get over, was to be taken seriously. And so there was a lot of that. Oh, I know what they did after, and she probably did this to that guy, and blah, 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 blah. And that happened for a while. And so you're like, hey, at least you're watching it. And that's a stupid comment, but at least you're watching it. And then eventually those comments got fewer and farther between. And then people, like, it's like the longer you're doing it, the more they realize, oh, wow, like, you actually are here for the right reasons, right? You're not just here because you think you're cute or you just want to be around these guys, right? Also, mind you, like, my husband's the guy holding the camera. So, like,
exactly.
I know what they did. Like, I'm pretty sure the three of us didn't do that. You know what I mean? So, so it was challenging. But I will say this, as a woman, and I found this out from different managers and different people, I could get different answers from fighters, right? So like, let's say, this Kendrick, if you're talking to a guy and whatever you guys get there, you guys alpha out a little bit, you bro out, whatever, right? You guys, somebody's got to be alpha. When it's with me, dude, you're alpha. Like, whatever. I mean, in my real life, we all know I'm alpha. But if I'm doing the interview, I'm here because of you, right? So my job as the interviewer, I want to make you look good. So I'll play beta during this interview because I want you to shine. And so I made a point of not making it about me. And that really helps. And I also know that there's just a lot of time when a guy would let his guard down more with me because either he wants to be received a different way from a woman or just a different vibe, right? I'm not alpha. So I sometimes would get better answers, deeper, more thoughtful answers because they felt like speaking to a woman was just a little different, and they could just be different. So there have been times when I would do interviews and then I would speak to the person's manager after, they're like, I had no idea that he did such and such because they didn't know, but they told me. And so maybe being a woman in that situation helped.
Does it bother you the fact that you got legit, like, you're a legit journalist? Like, before I even knew you, I like the CNN, MTV. Yeah. It's hard to be on one of them. You've been on both, and nobody ever talks about that. Like, you got legit credentials. Like, you could, like, if UFC closed tomorrow, Karyn Bryant still be in business.
Yeah, I can still work. And it's funny because I will say, I feel like that actually helped me though, right? So like at the beginning, because, people come to the sport and they're like, hey, yo, I got a phone. It's got a recording app, yo.
Yeah.
I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works, right? So that was, I think, the other thing that definitely helped me at the beginning was that I had already had other quote-unquote real jobs. So I approached it as a real job. But it's tough. I like it. The thing is I've done a bunch of other kinds of jobs, and I have had other jobs where I pretty much knew what was going to happen every day. Every day was kind of going to be the same. And so switching to sports, like when I switched to Showtime Championship boxing and stuff, that was great because I didn't know what was going to happen when I went to work. And so that was really exciting. And so if you can take the experience you have and the professional approach you have and switch it to a new thing, obviously there was a learning curve and there's some stuff that, you need to get up to speed on. But it definitely helped me having these other kinds of jobs before covering UFC for sure.
What do you think about this whole TV deal and stuff? I know that affects you directly.
It does.
How you think this is going to shake out? And another thing too, we're one of the few people that cover both UFC and boxing.
Right.
People don't understand. They can say boxing is dying, but boxing's got money. And we know this $5 billion parachute that the UFC sit on, when they gonna cut it up the right way? Because until they do, the sport's not gonna go to where it needs to go.
Yeah, it's tricky because, for those of us working at Fox, obviously it's a conversation point. It's something that we bring up a lot. And we were told, we'll probably know some more stuff during the summer. It's tricky because I feel like we do a very good job and I'm proud of the work that we do. And I do look around when I think about some of the other options where people say, oh, maybe you could go to ESPN, maybe you could go to Turner, maybe you could go here or there. Some of these other places literally just don't have room on the schedule, right, to put it in. They already have a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Or is their audience ready for this? I mean, ESPN, I think, would be ready for it, right? We have Brett and other people that cover, MMA for ESPN, and I think they could be ready for it. But I don't know if the UFC wants to be on ESPN3, right, or ESPN University or whatever, right? They want to be on the big dogs, and and then Turner, they said, was maybe a viable option, but then there's something with Turner, and they're trying to acquire something else, and the FCC might be on top of them from this other thing, so they may not be it. Maybe some things would get parceled out. Maybe Amazon would show some fights. Maybe this, maybe that. And I get it. That's cool for the sport if you want to get out on other platforms to help grow your audience. But I really do think we do a great job at Fox. It's a solid relationship we've built over the number of years now. So I'd be certainly, obviously, real bummed if it left. And I feel like I'm not sure who could do better, more with it. We can do a lot with it where we are. So I hope we get it. I hope we get it again.
Yeah. I hope so too. I mean, obviously the UFC needs, like you said, that big stage. They need that Fox or one of the other major networks to keep the sport growing. But we talk about it on here a couple of times with a few of our guests that we've had about how far can the sport really grow from the point where it's at right now? Because there's always going to be that fan or that person out there that is just turned off by the idea of watching two people punch each other.
For sure.
How much bigger do you think the brand, not only the brand of the UFC, but the sport can grow from where it's at right now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not going to become America's pastime. You know what I mean?
Right.
Baseball.
Sure.
It's not, it's not going to take over the NFL. Even literally, it's so funny because I'm such a football fan. Like literally Sunday, I'm like, there's no football. Like, there's nothing for me to watch right now. Like what the hell? So I think that I don't want to say fringe because it's more than fringe, right? It's already bigger than fringe.
Right.
And it already is mainstream enough to the point where we're seeing, like, how many times have you guys watched a show and it could be at NCIS or who knows what, and there's like some Chuck Liddell reference or some MMA reference, or you're watching Black Panther and he's doing jujitsu. Do you know what I mean? Right? How great was that?
It's awesome.
And I feel really proud, right? Because I feel a sense of like, that's our stuff up there. Like our stuff is infiltrating the mainstream. Like, dude just choked him out. Like Wakanda forever. That's legit. You know what I mean? So like, to me, that's a really great thing, and that proves how far it's come and how accepted and how much of a part of the everyday conversation the sport has become. That said, I do know that I still, talk to people like, oh, what do you do? And I tell them what they do, and they're like, there's no rules, right? I'm like, of course there's rules. And they're like, oh, there's no this, right? There's still a big misunderstanding about it. And I have to admit, like, I know if certain people are channel surfing and they had happened to see that Rose Namajunas versus Paige Van Zandt fight on Fox that time, where Paige got touched up, that would put some people off, right?
Absolutely.
So, bless her heart. I mean, Paige is a freaking warrior for hanging in there. Both those girls are freaking awesome. But that's something that comes with a lot more understanding. Somebody just surfing by wouldn't understand how badass these two chicks are, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's upsetting to me to think, oh man, somebody's going to be turned off or like not understand what we're doing here because they don't want to see two women being hurt. So it's a lot. There's a lot of evolution obviously going on right now about women and being empowered and stuff. So I'm hoping that women empowerment conversation is going to translate to our sport as well. In terms of how big can it get? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It is going to be hard for some people to watch, but when you can have that one-on-one conversation with like a boxing fan and explain to them why MMA is something they could also totally enjoy, I feel like I'm like on a one-woman mission sometimes to explain it to people. But, and I also tell people, because I did cover boxing for a long time, but I also tell people, I'm like, just come once. Just come to one MMA show. And I feel like your mind's going to be changed. It's really exciting. Like, listen, my mom just came to the show in Florida. She'd never been to a show. She was like down with it or whatever. But my mom, she's like yelling for my boy Alan Joe Band to like. It was cool. And this is a grown woman, obviously, who liked boxing. So I think it's there. It's just an education process. And the more we can get people like Paige on Dancing with the Stars, or get more people acting and crossing over. Tyron's doing stunt work. Michael Bisping's doing a lot of acting and stuff. The more that our folks can integrate into more mainstream shows and programs, I think it's going to help. But anybody who watched Black Panther and saw what happened, maybe they'll become curious as to what jiu-jitsu is, right? So maybe we'll introduce some people to it. So.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. Like you were saying, all these shows, they like stick their head in the bubble and they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to pull it back over here for a minute. Right. I'm going to throw that arm bar in this fight sequence, and it's like, just little things like that we see it sprinkled out here and there. And it's just
for sure. I was watching something else the other day and somebody like beat somebody up and like pulled off an arm bar. I was like, what? And it's cool because now also people know what's happening, right? So it's getting in the vernacular. It's becoming part of the conversation, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Karyn, give people insight, especially the people in the UFC media, how it's completely different in the fandom for boxing versus UFC. I always tell people like Matt, people in boxing are about that life. If they say they're going to swing on you, they ain't just trying to sit there and grapple and pull guard. They about that life. Where, it's a lot more talking versus UFC fans. They kind of got a little bit of sample from Mayweather McGregor, but I tell them somebody go to like a Triple G Canelo or any Mayweather or a former Mayweather event, and you see people about that life.
Yeah, and it's different though too, right? Because like my friend Justin Fortune is Manny Pacquiao's coach, right? He and Freddie work together, and like so I know the discipline and I know the different mindset of like the guys that are working with Manny. They don't take any BS and this and that, but they don't actually like, talk a lot of crap, right? It's just like when the time comes, they sit there and throw down, and you would like I don't feel like you'd ever see Manny or Juan Manuel Marquez talk like it's a different thing, right? I show up on the day to beat your ass and I'm gonna beat your ass, right? And they throw down a little bit more. Like I feel like though the fact that the MMA guys engage in that other stuff speaks to how youthful the sport is though. I feel like if our guys are engaging in social media and playing that game outside of the actual fight a little bit more, that just speaks to the youth of the sport. That's where our fans live right now. Our fans are engaged in social media. Our fans are like that personal interaction. Like that's one thing I will say I love about our athletes is how accessible they are to their fans. Sometimes it goes wrong, right? And they got to hit the block button a lot or whatever. But and just because growing up I didn't follow a bunch of football players or this or that, I just don't really feel that football players would be nearly as willing to be in a conversation on Twitter with somebody like our fight guys and girls are just way more accessible, and that's really what's going to help us grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, you kind of touched on it there with the social media aspect. Obviously, we see everything happen on social media. Like that's where a lot of fights get started. Literally, guys go at each other, and then the next week it's like, hey, scheduled for July 6th. It's like we got a fight scheduled.
Podcast. Derek Lewis talking about Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, fights start on Twitter.
Right here.
Yeah, fights start on Twitter all the time, and it's like not only that, I love the fact that we get to see the fighters interact and clap back at these fans that just talk a lot of trash on Twitter.
Yes.
And I know you get a lot of that as well because like, you being in your position, you get a lot of people that hate on you for whatever reason. Like I think you get a lot of unjustified hate. I really don't understand it when I see people on blogs and on these message boards talking crap about Karyn Bryant, KB for no reason. I'm like, why? So I mean,
they're jelly, bro. That's why. Like, honestly, I feel like a lot of it is. And I know this is gonna sound like kind of weird, because they know at this point they figured out. I really did get here because I just love what I'm doing and I work hard, right? Yeah. So they can't just write me off as like some hoe that slept her way here, right? So then they're even more like, damn, chick has a dream job. Shit, now I'm just mad because she has what I want, but I'm not willing to actually work for it, and maybe she worked for it, but like, I'm just mad. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like that's what some of it is that I work really hard, to get here, and I work hard on a daily basis, right? So I think a lot of it just comes down to envy. Like, I definitely know that when I first started, there was a lot of racism that I also dealt with, so it was like, sometimes if somebody was mad at me, I couldn't tell if they were racist or sexist, like which was the first one, dude, which your problem first and foremost. Wow. And a lot of times it would be a combination of both things or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is like the people, I feel like I have a lot of support, and I feel like the people that do try to take shots at me or whatever, it seems so much more obvious that it really is just like jealousy based, or they just don't think a chick should have the job because I wasn't a professional fighter. But what I say to everybody all the time is like, well, every movie critic has also not won an Oscar for directing, right? Like every food critic isn't a master chef necessarily, right? Like, so you can, Howard Cosell, I don't believe was a professional athlete. But you know what I mean? He and Ali had their thing, right? So it's, I get it. You would like the person to have firsthand experience in the sport that they're covering. I get that. But my job and my position, and obviously I've learned a lot over the years of covering this because I've covered it since 2007 and I started in boxing in 2005. So I've learned a lot. But I will never act like I've actually been in the octagon. You know what I mean? Like, I don't pretend to know what I don't know.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a really important thing, right? So I feel like if somebody's busting on me, they're jealous and they're that I have this great job, very clear and very evident that I have a great time doing it. We have a lot of fun. It's a great job. Everybody wants it. So I feel like that's it. And, same thing that Megan might deal with, especially with her, people are kind of mad because Joe or two, and then they want to try to give her a hard time about that and make up some excuse. No, she works hard. She knows what she's doing. Like, just deal with it,
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of misplaced anger, I think, that goes on in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unnecessary.
But I also have to remember too, right? So, I also do have to remember that a lot of the people on the forums are, just like young guys or whatever, young kids that maybe have a passion for the sport, but maybe don't have a lot of real world life experience yet, right? So that's how I kind of temper that. I look at it and I say, okay, I sort of imagine the forum, and obviously they're not all these people, but I sort of imagine, maybe that's just some 16-year-old kid who just really doesn't know that much about the world yet, loves the sport, doesn't really know how men and women work, doesn't really know about the world yet. So I try not to take too much offense. But I mean, I do get mad if you pick on me for something that I can't change, just pick on me for being a woman or pick on me for having brown skin. Dude, I can't change that, right? So if you give me something that's an actual constructive thing, well, maybe I could accept. It's not like I can't accept criticism, but a lot of that stuff, like you said, is just blind jealousy and just abject. I don't like it because I don't have it and I want it, and she has it and I want it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a kind of a twofold question, Karyn.
Yep.
One, how do you think the sport can grow in African American communities? Because it's big in boxing, and two, this is where your insight come on. Just from personal experience, how come a lot of these African American fighters that we deal with, they're good guys, but they tend to be very when they're in fight mode. You sit there and have an interview set up with them, which happens, but they tend to be more, I won't say flaky, but not. They kind of have to be real standoffish without throwing names out there. It's come on now, I'm trying to help you out. It's a common denominator.
I mean, I guess when some of the things some you know this for a fact, right? There's some managers in the game that just aren't good, right? So maybe they have management that's not really working for them, or they have their homie, from back in the day that said he's going to manage and doesn't really know how to be professional and deal with journalists and stuff like that. So I get what you're saying about the flaking on the interview and oh, bro, I meant to do it. No, come on, let's be professional here. So I see that frustration and I know it. I think some people just have really poor representation. In terms of growing it, it's so funny because that famous interview with Rampage from long time ago, which, by the way, Quentin's the best. He's the best. But that was one of my questions to him, right? And then we obviously got distracted and we went down this whole other thing. But I literally was saying to him, I was like, yo, do your homies watch the fights? And that was a real question, right? Somebody tried to give me a hard time. Oh, she's trying to be a journalist and she used the word homeboy in her question. Yeah, I did. I was like, yo, do your homeboys watch the fights? I didn't think that was such a big deal. But that really was my question, right? Because you and I, we all know, guys will get together to watch the basketball game. Guys will get together to watch football game. Guys will get together to watch the boxing fights. And I was like, is it on the radar? It was a real legitimate question I had. Is UFC, is MMA on the radar? And I think it is. And I think it's growing. But I think part of the issue is that wrestling is not necessarily always as huge of a thing in the African-American community as maybe straight up boxing is, right? We all know that if you're poor, if you've come from an inner city, you could probably go down to the boxing gym. Maybe they'll have a pair of gloves to loan you, and you can borrow someone's sneakers or do a pair. You know what I mean? Whatever. It's a lot less expensive to learn how to box. When you're talking about wrestling coaches, when you're talking about jiu-jitsu class, which is crazy expensive sometimes, I feel like just some of the other elements of the game are just more expensive and harder to come by. So boxing is still going to be fundamental, I think, in some communities. And so I think sometimes it's just literally a lack of understanding of the sport. I think there's some people that still look at jiu-jitsu and think it's something that two men should not roll around together. That's just a cultural lack of understanding, or just a general a misunderstanding of what's actually happening with the sport. So I feel like there's some things like that just need to change. The conversation needs to change a little bit more. So we do see more Black kids wrestling and that kind of thing. But I feel like some of the other sports that go along with it, there's also just maybe not as much opportunity for that, right? Like, so same reason why you don't have a ton of Black swimmers, right? There's just not a lot of pools in the middle of the city.
That's a whole different stereotype too.
Right. Dude, I'm a great swimmer though, by the way. I'm a friggin' awesome swimmer.
Hey, me too.
But I come from a crappy little town in Massachusetts. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you can go play basketball cheap and you can box cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like some of it is really just because of the ability to go and seek out and practice these sports. So I'm hoping that more and more sort of gyms and mixed martial arts gyms where all these things are coming together. And when you see people like Tyron doing great, you see Rashad up at the desk, you see role models that they can actually point to now and say, hey, there's a guy like me, I can go do this too, because, there weren't as many before, right? So in the earlier days of MMA or in the earlier days of the UFC or whatever, you just didn't see as many Black faces, and now there's a lot more. So I feel like just that coming around will give people an option to know or rather give people the awareness that it is an option. Angela Hill and I had this conversation a few years ago when she had first kind of gotten in the UFC, like right after Tough, before she went to Invicta and stuff, but we were like, yo, this is so weird that you're like the only Black chick in the UFC,
Yeah.
And it was weird, and it is still weird that she and Danielle Taylor, I think there's a couple more now, but for a long time that was it, and that's just weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Opportunity and exposure just wasn't there.
For sure. And how many other fighters do you have these conversations with? Like, you're working alongside the Tyron Woodleys and the Rim, like the guys that, have been outspoken about these sort of things, about, Tyron having unfair treatment and things like that. You kind of touched on that earlier, saying you had to deal with that. So, know, are you guys having a lot of those conversations, off air, behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, and I put somebody on blast for this the other day on Twitter, because somebody, I had shared the interview I did with T Wood the other day on the show, and I've known Tyron since like 2010 or so, when he was still in Strikeforce, and I have like these old interviews of me talking to Scott Coker and like Nick and T Wood's got I Got Next on his t-shirt and stuff like that. Like, I've known him a really long time, so for me to see how far he's come, I'm really, really proud of him, and he's done such great things. But I've seen a lot of the BS that he's put up with, right? So a lot of time, we sort of talk about what he's going through and some BS that's sort of happening or whatever. And I put somebody on blast on Twitter the other day because I shared the interview that we did, and they asked me like, oh, can you ask Tyron to unblock me? I was a real ass to him a few years ago, and I've come around. I'm like, dude, how about just not being an ass from the beginning, right? I don't know. He puts up with a lot, right? And he does put up with a lot, and it's the double-edged sword, right? If you don't speak out, it's the same thing with Kaepernick, right? Like, so you either suck it up and you're personally miserable, or whatever, or you speak up and you can maybe light a candle and shed some light on a situation and help other people, along with yourself, and help other people. Some people are going to get really mad at you and think that that's all you're about, but you can't change something if you never bring awareness to it, right? So I feel like there's certain things with Tyron that people just didn't want to hear, right? And I don't want to get into specifics or whatever, because I honestly don't know every single exchange or whatever they've had, but a lot of the stuff he's told me, like, I know it's true, right? I've seen it, either I've seen it happen to him or it's happened to me as well. It's really hard, and it's a tough position to be in the forefront of trying to affect some change. And I feel like that's what Tyron's doing, and I'm really proud of him for doing that. I mean, there are times certainly when I watch him, like, oh, you're gonna get a lot of pushback from that, whatever you just said. You know what I mean? And I feel bad because I know, like, oh, it's gonna be hard to convince people of your case, whatever. And I just feel bad that my friend's like dealing with some crap, right? But on the whole, I'm always going to be proud of him for speaking his mind and trying to bring light to things that he just feels are unjust. I mean, why would that ever be wrong, really? You know what I mean?
KB, can you help us get the champs on? I got both of their numbers, and they'll talk, but they never want. It's like, can you help us pin them down before they get back in the octagon. Both
I'll see what I can do. You know, yeah, they're busy, man. But you know, dude's got a lot going on. When he was with us the other day, had a lot of his kids with him and his mom and this and that. And that's the thing. Like, he takes care of a lot of people. He's trying to get his rap career going. Now, and that's what I'm saying. So he's a busy man, you know, and he's a busy man. But I'll see what I can do.
Speaking of champ, I love the last week was perfect. Y'all should have with the female champs on there too. So, man,
I know.
He had some Cyborg, he had some Rose, and all
my
that.
God, it'd be so cool.
Good stuff by y'all other day.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Obviously, Rose, you know, she's in the last throes of getting ready. But no, it was so cool, and that's the thing. Like, you know, TJ was supposed to be with us, and he was sick, and so he couldn't come in. But like, I feel like I kind of use Max Holloway as like a litmus test. Like, if you don't like Max Holloway, like, what's your problem? Like, what's your problem?
That's the best one.
How do you not like Maxie Baby? Like, the dude throws down every single time. He's a lovely guy to be around, has a really positive energy. Like, if he's seriously, like, if you don't like Max, like, you're a dick. Sorry.
That's true.
I don't get it.
True.
I just don't get it. And I've known DC now, obviously, for a number of years. And obviously all the stuff that he went through with John, I understand how people took sides or whatever, but I've known him for a very long time. I've known his dedication and all these things that he's gone through in his personal life. And same thing to me. Like, if you can't get behind DC, like, you have a problem with yourself, because he's an incredibly likable guy, and incredibly, what's the word? He's just been through a lot in his life. And the fact that he's still as positive and as gregarious as he is, where a lot of the situations he's dealt with, a lot of people would come out differently, you know. DC's just a joy to be around, and he's a badass fighter. And you hear me now, I say he beats Stipe, but whatever.
Don't you think it's crazy the fact that, like, he's done all this in and outside the octagon, but the first time people say John Jones, with all his craziness, all his bullshit, he gets all the attention instantly. It's crazy. It's like he does everything not to get it, but he still gets it.
Because John is so gifted, and it's like, you can't deny it, right? Like, that's the thing. Is as frustrating as it is with all the stuff that goes wrong outside the octagon, it's like, as soon as that door closes, the guy's, I'm a golden god, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he's
yeah.
He's the deal. He's the real deal. And so it's like, it's almost like that's where the heartache comes from, because he's so gifted. It's like, it just kind of hurts to see somebody, like, because a lot of people would love to be that gifted, right? And so it hurts people to see somebody with that many gifts who could do so much positive, so many positive things. It hurts them to see that they don't respect their own gift, I guess, is what it appears to a lot of people. And so I don't think it's that for me. I don't think that he doesn't respect his gift. I think he gets it. I think he knows how good he is. And I think that's just given him a feeling of infallibility. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, like, if you were able to get out of kind of everything, you're going to kind of always think you can kind of get out of everything. Right. Yeah. I mean, and he's so, you can't not watch him fight, right? He's beaten all my favorite people. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to just be mad at the dude, but he's so good, you can't really be mad at him, right? It's like, I don't like the anguish he's put my friend DC through. I don't like, you know, the mental and physical anguish that he's put him through. But as an athlete, like, how can you disregard, like, how great that dude is, you know? And then that's what makes people also feel bad about it, right? Because then you're conflicted yourself, right? Because you're like, I like the bad guy, you know what I mean? It makes you feel a little weird. I should like the good guy.
It's the best rivalry we have in MMA, in my opinion. It's the best one. Like, no matter how it ends, if there's another chapter after this, where it's been so far, like, it's the best one ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't, because at the end of the day, when you look back in the day and you look at your Chucks and your Tito's and your Randys and this and that, like, they're all still kind of basically cut from the same cloth and stuff like that, right? Badasses and this and that, but, like, John's just different level and just a different kind of specimen. And I will say this too, though, it does upset me on if we're talking about the African American role model angle of the whole thing, that does bum me out, like, extra bad, right?
For sure.
Like.
For sure.
come on, like his two brothers in that, like, I'm from Boston. I loved when Chan was on the Patriots. He was great. But I feel like sometimes I want to big sister him a little bit and be like, bro, you have the opportunity to like really change a lot of people's minds about what kind of people fighters are, right? About what kind of business we're in, right? You have all the gifts. You're a good-looking dude, articulate. You could be such a great figure to show the world we're evolved people. But the things that he's done have made people question that, right? And so, and I don't say that by just because you have this job you have to become a role model, but like you're sort of forced into that position some, right? So
especially when you're that great, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's why it's hard to see him just to see a person who could be a beacon not using it that way. And I think that's the same reason why I'm so proud of Tyron for trying to do the right thing. So really that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things with, especially in John's situation, because everybody loves the redemption story sort of thing. And with John, he could screw up 10 more times after this, but guess what? That 11th, this is the redemption, and you're gonna get hooked in every single time. Because he's just that good.
He's that good, and that's the thing. Like, there was one press conference, and a while back when he and DC were there, and John, I think, really misunderstood me in it, and some people have misunderstood me. I was asking him, I said, "Hey, how do you prove you're different?" Right? And it wasn't. I wasn't trying to diss him. Like, I don't believe you. How are you going to prove it? It literally was like, have you thought about this? And because we want to believe you, but what do you think you have to do to prove it to us? Like, it really wasn't a judgment question. And I think he took it as a bit of a judgment, or some people did, but I really wasn't trying to judge him. It was more of like a innocent, like, how we going to fix this? You know what I mean? Because I wanted it to be fixed. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've told this story too on this podcast a couple of times. At 214, after the fight, when John's in the back doing his post-fight scrum with the media, like, I'm sitting there and the mic's passing around, and I had one question for John. But it was one of those things, it's like, you don't ask it in this space because I may get my credential yanked and I may have, like...
What was the question?
The question was, John, what happens when you fail a drug test in 2 weeks?
Oh, shit.
That was, like, one of those questions that, like... What like, you want to ask it, but like, I can't ask that question right now. Of course you want to ask it. I can't ask that question.
Of course you want to ask it. Because you kind of knew it was coming, right?
It was just one of those things. It's like, well, what happens? Because we're going to head down that same road again. But you can't ask that question in that spot. But it's my only regret so far.
Like an attack, too.
Exactly. But,
and that's what I'm saying. I think he took my question as an attack when it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
No guts, no glory.
And that's hard because, to be honest, that last fight, like, I really thought he got everybody back on his side, right? Like, I really thought everybody wiped the slate clean. And, we'll see what happens and all this stuff, but it was just like, come on, man. Like, it just makes you sad for getting invested again. And then you kind of feel like a tool, right, for getting fooled again.
Hey, like Dana said, we were in the Ultimate Fighter when all that stuff, I'll never forget this. It was my first time in the Ultimate Fighter house, so I'm already kind of geeked out and like, cool, And then all that John stuff break, and we got to instantly talk to Dana, and I asked him, what do you think about this? And he says, this is a 30 for 30 coming to ESPN.
Right,
in the
right,
future.
Right.
Sounds like a classic answer.
Right, but you don't want it to end with, and then he died. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to see that. And so that's the whole thing, is I think what he takes sometimes as maybe your question about, what happens, and my question, like, it actually is concern. It's not an attack. It's a concern, and it's like, we actually don't want to end up writing your obituary in a year. Like, we want that to be 50 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard because if you know other people in your life that aren't professional athletes or whatever, well, a lot of people struggle with a lot of issues, and oftentimes it doesn't end well, and then to me, if I'm being honest, to me it makes me just question who's around him, who's not looking out for him, right? Mm-hmm. Who's making money that's not looking out for him, because the guy should have more. I just don't understand how it can keep happening. Like
it's kind of the role of a journalist in a way that we're supposed to ask the critical questions that are so obvious that nobody seems to want to touch. And it's like it's one of those things that it's right there, like
right. Who doesn't love you enough to look out for you better?
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of a role.
Who's riding your tails for as long as they can? Who actually doesn't really care about you?
Crazy.
That's sad.
Crazy.
And I'm sure he doesn't want to ask that question himself, right? Because that would suck. I don't want to think about who's just here for the wrong reason. That sucks.
Yeah.
We'll switch gears to something positive. You were in NYC for 217. That's the last time I saw you, right?
Yeah.
I told Matt because he wasn't in the building. Because you've been at this a little bit longer than me. That was my first holy shit moment when Rose caught my girl JJ with the 2-piece. And Matt can tell you, I'm friends with somebody in Rhonda's camp.
Yeah.
He texts me on Wednesday and he goes, "Yo, girl JJ sound just like Rhonda before she got kicked in the head." And then he texted me again on Friday after the weigh-in, "Bruh, y'all gonna put money on Rose because she gonna do the same thing Holly did to our girl Rhonda." He told me on Friday. I'm telling Matt this. As soon as JJ threw that, Rose threw that 2-piece. Boom! What I tell you? He said she sounded so like Rhonda. It was crazy.
It's crazy because for years I've said this, that Joanna's my spirit animal. Like I feel like I have a little Joanna Young Jacek inside of me, right? That like little badass, like seriously, like I freaking love that girl. So I got a little Joanna inside me. Like when I play, I'm on, like a tennis team. I'm like, oh, yo, I play full contact tennis. Like I want to go up like Joanna and be like, what? We're ready? Ready? Serve it first? What are you doing? Right? So like I've always loved Joanna and her badassness. But I've known Rose, God, since before she, ever was even really pro. Like I've known her since like she's like 17 years old or whatever. So that was one of those, conflicted emotion fights, right? So excited and so thrilled for Rose, just over the moon for this woman who has worked so hard and overcome a lot in her life. And I was sad for Joanna, to not break that record. But then at the same time, it is that whole thing of like, well, this loss might even be better for you, at the end of the day and everything that works out from it. So, I kind of love that they're going to fight again, but I also sort of, it was really hard for me, to see two of like my favorite people, and especially in the women's fight game, there's obviously some really cool women and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of, they're two of the very best, right? For very obvious reasons, but also very distinctly different personalities and stuff. And, I love that our sport brings the two best together like that, but it's also, it's kind of heartbreaking sometimes. You don't want either one of them to lose. But that was a legit moment. Like, and it's so crazy because I saw Pat and Rose in the hallway before the fight. And like I said, I've known them a really long time. I didn't even want to make eye contact, right? Because I didn't want to like mess with their thing. And so I just was like trying to like not, get in their space or whatever. But I was legit losing my stuff during that fight because a lot of emotions going on. That was intense. So I don't know really how I'm going to handle it the second time around.
Will you be out there? Because I'll be out there in Brooklyn. I'll see you in Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, we'll be in the studio. I'll be in the studio. We're not going to be in Brooklyn. Unfortunately, we don't get to take the desk on the road as often as we personally would like. So I'll be in the studio for that one. But, the studio is actually really fun sometimes when we're watching fights because, it gets really rowdy in there. Yeah, it gets really rowdy. And we have a good time. And the thing about it is on that one, we'll have time to catch our breath. Like the trickiest part of it is when you're doing the show and, we have to go on the air like immediately after the main event. And so sometimes I've seen like really good friends of mine win or really good friends of mine lose. And then they're like, in 5. 4, and like you're literally inside like sucking up tears because your friend just got smashed the F out, and you're like, hey everybody, great night and so and like literally crying inside. But when it's a good thing and when it's like somebody that you're psyched for or whatever, that's so fun to just get like that instant reaction. And then a lot of time we'll get the winners on either like when we are like they come up to the desk, and it's nothing I love more like when the guys come up and they still got their fight kit on, they're all bloody and they're coming up like right after war, and it's awesome. So when we get the guys like and ladies right after their win, that is spectacular, and that's something that's really, really special. Especially like I was working the desk when T Wood won the title. Like, I'm the hugest Robbie Lawler fan. I've loved Robbie Lawler forever, but I got to sit there and work the night my friend became a champion. That's huge. Loved it.
Yeah. Gotta ask you, who you picking in the rematch?
Don't you ask me that.
Staying right down the middle. There will be no.
I can't. I won't. I can't. I can't. I gotta think about it some more. I think I know what I think, but I'm gonna reserve judgment on that.
Right. Yeah. Our thing is, well, at least my thing is like I've got to see Fight Week. I've got to see Embedded. I've got to see.
Right.
Got to see all the interactions at press conferences. I got to get those kind of reads.
Right.
Yeah, that's how my boy read the first time. He's like, man, she sounds just like Ronda before she got that kicked in the head. So it does make a big difference.
It does. Well, and the funny thing too is that night, Sugar was working with us, and he said it at the weigh-ins. Rashad was like, "Ronda's done," because of the thing with the arm over Holly.
Yes, nobody's done that.
And as soon as she did the thing with the arm, Sugar was like, "Put all your money on Holly."
Yeah,
and he was right.
I was there. Well, yeah, obviously that was the moment that solidified it for me. But I remember way back when that first picture on Instagram came out with Holly Holm signing that contract. I was like, "This is going to be the girl to beat Ronda."
Wow!
And, fast forward, and then like that moment where she kept that arm up when Ronda charged at her. I was like, "Oh, it's going down tomorrow. It's here. It's happening. It's going down."
It was going down. But I personally, I'm not mad at Ronda. I like her, and I'm happy for her now. I think it's awesome what she's doing. I'm like totally psyched for her. I know a lot of people want to try to bust on her and stuff like that, but I'm glad she's happy. She was really, truly did so much for the sport, and if anybody ever tries to deny the impact and the positive force that she was in the sport, then they're just being a jerk, because she certainly has done so much. So
for sure. And we're kind of coming up on time, Karyn. We appreciate the time, obviously, but if you could give some advice to the young journalists out there, young female journalists in particular that may be trying to break into the sports game, MMA in particular. Give us some advice.
Don't sleep with anybody on the job.
That's a big one.
Step one.
Okay.
Don't sleep with anybody on the job. I sleep with my cameraman. He happens to be my husband. Other than that, don't sleep with anybody on the job, right? Because it's not good. Also, kind of like what I was saying before, right? I feel like this is not even just for women, but just any journalist. Like, don't pretend to know what you don't know. It sounds really simple, but most people, want to seem like they know more. Like, just ask questions. Because you're going to get caught. Ultimately, you'll get caught if you really don't know what you pretend to know. So don't act like you know, and just be curious, be engaged, right? Like, don't go to an interview with your list of 5 questions that you must ask. Like, how about, I don't know, listening to what they say?
Yes. Oh, that's so huge. That is so huge.
That's like, anybody, male and female, need to learn that.
That's what I'm saying. But for women, you do have to understand that good looks are definitely a benefit, right? If you have them, don't deny them. But don't use only that to try to get to where you want to go, right? Because there's a lot of pretty girls. So know your stuff, you know what I mean? And it's almost like the prettier you are, the more you need to know your stuff almost. You know what I mean? It's like, I just have seen too many times when girls are think that that's going to be enough. And it's not. You got to back it up with some real substance and do your homework. Just do your damn homework. That's really not that hard. Yeah. And don't sleep with people on the job. That's so Did I mention? Don't sleep with people on the job.
That's a huge one. That's so big, especially
it sounds real basic.
In today's climate, that's a big one. That's a big one in today's climate. Yeah. If we could get one word for the haters out there before we let you go.
One word for the haters? Come on, I'm cool. Like, I'm cool. I don't even have anything to say to the haters. Like, if you knew me, you'd be like, KB's pretty cool. Damn.
If you don't like KB, you got a problem.
Yeah, it's your problem.
I don't know. There she is, people. Miss Karyn Bryant. Where can the people find you out there on the social medias? At Karyn Bryant on Twitter?
Yeah, so it's Karyn. So it's Karyn Bryant on Twitter, Karyn Bryant on YouTube. We also have MMA Heat, obviously, on YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff, and on Instagram, it's KB Heat.
And of course, you can see her on UFC Tonight. I first saw Karyn Bryant on Malcolm and Eddie way back in the day.
Oh my God! $4 check for residuals the other day.
Yeah, nice. Still got that money rolling in. Hey.
Right, but also Tough Talk starts up again in a couple weeks, so I'm psyched for that. It's good stuff.
Oh, definitely. That's greatness. I always learn something about these people that I don't know. So by the time we get to the finale, it's like you feel like you know them because you see them on Tough Talk walling out.
Totally. Yeah, no, we have a really good time. And I have to say, like, it is a really, really cool thing because I do feel very invested. You know what I mean? In the fighters now. So, like, when you see them after they're on The Ultimate Fighter and then they're progressing through their career, like, yeah, you already feel, like, really, really bonded to them and stuff. And I love the idea that we're helping people, get to know them. And like you said, by the end of the season, you feel like you really know these people. I love doing that. And Michael I love working with Bisping. The dude is out of his mind. And I love him. So
he's a wild
we have a good time.
He is a wild one, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Karyn, thank you for coming on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Thanks.
We'll definitely stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the next time I see you, it'll be probably International Fight Week there.
Probably, yeah. We'll be out there.
Going out to Brooklyn.
I
want to hang out with you in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know. I would love it. I love New York. But we'll be in the studio for that. I think the next time I'm going to, Glendale for Gaethje Poirier. We'll be on the road for that one. But then next one would probably be International Fight Week. So
awesome. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
We'll see you there.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming on. And now joining us on the Slip and Dip podcast, host of the George Kennebrew Show on GeorgeKennebrew.com, GeorgeKennebrewShow.com, is Mr. George Kennebrew. What's going on, man?
What is going on, Matt, Kendrick? I am so elated to be here with you all on the Slip and Dip podcast, man. Let me tell you, I found out about you guys. I see you guys are making waves around the internet and all around the area and stuff. I was like, hold on, man. I gotta see what these brothers about, man. I'm like, they got something cooking over there, man. I gotta get in on the fun, see what all the hype is about and stuff. And I'm finally here, man. So I'm ready for whatever you throw at me. Let's go.
Yeah, man. And I guess to give the people a little bit of background, we met covering MMA, obviously.
Yeah.
It was Bellator, I believe. It was the first time we met, right? Or was it before that?
I believe it was Bellator, and then of
International
course
Fight Week. We met out there
yeah.
again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we kicked it at the events. George is a cool dude. Everybody out there definitely follow his work. He's one of the things that struck me about you initially when I met you. I was like, man, this guy, very articulate. He's got that radio voice that you can just listen to talk, and you got like this encyclopedia knowledge as well. Especially, I figured that out. Especially, I mean, from the Bellator knowledge, fighters of those guys, obviously like the local scene guys as well. You know your stuff, man.
Yeah, man. I just try to I basically just try to stick to the details and basically try to soak up as much as I can. I'm pretty much like you guys, man. I grew up on this sport as a fan. Been watching since 2008. Attended my first UFC fight actually when Rashad Evans fought Chuck Liddell at UFC 88 right here in Atlanta. I'm an Atlanta, Georgia native, and that was a real big thing. UFC 88 coming to Phillips Arena, man. I'll never forget it. Just standing up there and just seeing that spectacle and just looking down and seeing Mike Goldberg and Joe Rogan over here and Dana White and everybody over there. And I was like, yeah, man, this is definitely something I want to get into. But yeah, man, I just, like I say, I just try to stick to the details, and I just try to, do as much research and studying up as I possibly can. And, I'm not, the world's biggest expert, but I definitely know a lot, and I could definitely, go conversation for conversation with some of the best out there. So, I'm no slouch by any means.
Right? Yeah.
Since you live in Atlanta, do you know cats at 92.9 The Game? My buddy Sean Thompson's assistant program director.
Yeah.
Craig Carlos Valentino, CCV. Shout out to my Atlanta boys. we think it comes to the boxing game. They're my guys.
Yeah, man. I know all of those guys at 92.9 The Game, man. Yeah, they're real big down here, and they're only they're starting to spread out, man. They're starting to stretch out as far as like the content is concerned. I think I might have to call up, Mr. Thompson and be like, hey, man, y'all got all these other sports on 92.9. Like, what about mixed martial arts though? Like, like, what's up? Like, I mean, even though, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of, turned into, entertainment based thing now. I mean, it's still one of the more popular sports out there. So I'm like, hey, man, we got to get some mixed martial arts on 92.9 The Game, man. You got to show the sport some love. For real.
But how do we get kid folks to get involved with it, though?
I mean, simply, show them, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, just show them the brothers like, hey, man, listen, like we took over all these other sports. We're going to take over martial arts too. So, I mean, that alone, I mean, cause I mean, hey, you talk about kinfolk, man. I mean, fighting, I mean, that's in our bloodline. Like, I mean, we at some point in our lives, we have fought somebody. We have punched somebody in the face. I don't know if we kicked anybody, but we've definitely punched somebody in the face throughout our pastime here on Earth. So yeah, you show them, some guys that's actually fighting legally and getting paid for it. They be like, oh yeah, I can get into that.
Yeah. Well, that's how you punch somebody.
Man, I can't even remember, man. See, me, I try to be the peacemaker, Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to be the calm in the middle of the storm. It really takes a lot to really set me off because, I'm such a loose, charismatic guy. Not too many things, really faze me like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you really did piss me off, it would really have to be something like really over the top, like to really just get me there. And when I get mad, it's literally like a flip of the switch. Like, I don't say nothing. I get really quiet, and I'm just going to look at you. You can sit up there and talk all the junk you want to, but I'm just going to sit up there and look at you. And the moment that you swing, it's on. I'm not doing no talking. I'm just going to handle business, and that's that. That's how I roll, man.
I've had to as an adult. Last time I was in high school, it was funny. There's a kid named Michael Poindexter. I was a sophomore, and I just got done watching that Riddick Bowe fight the weekend. Remember that press conference?
Yeah.
I literally had made my mind up because the dude thought he was going to try to charge me up. So I'm like, you know what? Next time he do that, I'm going to go Riddick Bowe on him. It just happened to be that Monday after I watched the Riddick Bowe fight. So I'm like, say I won't swing with you. I bet you won't. Bam! 2-piece. Didn't even see it coming. And then from my sophomore year to the day I graduated, everybody thought it was crazy because nobody saw that coming. So like, he just come out the blue and swing. So I should have done my freshman year. I wouldn't have had no problems up until then. True story. That's the last person I had to touch. I was 15 years old.
Wow, man. Dang, he said he put the Riddick Bowe combos on. Woo! Boy, I'm surprised you didn't catch no charge, man. You doing it like that?
My school is a gangster. It's weird because it's not in the hood and it's not in the suburbs. It's literally in the middle of Dallas.
Wow. See, if that would have been me, if that would have been me, I probably would have been out like instantly. It would have been no hesitation. They would have just called my parents and be like, "Come get him, come get him."
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
so yeah. I guess the last time I punched somebody was actually in training, so it wasn't, something like, something at a moment where nobody wasn't expecting it or anything like that. But, anyways, let's really back to the actual sport, man. You kind of touched on it there a second ago about it being more of an entertainment-based thing these days, and we kind of see it. It's like they keep throwing these interim titles out all over the place. We got another one. Coming.
Title
coming up. Like,
I know.
What's your take on these interim titles, man? Because if you're like anybody else, I mean, I know it's got to be frustrating to see it.
Man, it's funny because as long as I've been watching the sport of mixed martial arts, I have literally seen the shift. And what I mean by seeing the shift, I've literally seen it from going to a sport that was built on respect, honor, and legitimate competition to pretty much politics, money, and financial leverage. I mean, that's pretty much how I would sum it up in a nutshell. But if you ask me, as far as these interim titles and stuff go, man, I really think it's just a defense mechanism by the UFC. I mean, pretty much they're a company right now that's walking around like a chicken with their head cut off. Like, if you want me to be honest, because it's just like, you're telling me, you, Dana White, the esteemed president of this multi-million-dollar company, the UFC, and you, did I say million? I meant to say billion.
Yeah, billion.
But yeah, right. But yeah, you're so this is your billion-dollar company, and you've got some of the best fighters from all across the continent, and you telling me it's come to a point now where you can't even keep your top contenders in check? Like, you can't tell your top superstars from the other, and now it's to a point where you got guys fighting for championships that, you know, hadn't even put out a good enough resume or a good enough record to even deserve those title fights. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's kind of like the Oprah effect. It's like, all right, well, you get a title shot. No, you get a title shot. Everybody gets a title shot. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, whatever happened to why the sport existed in the first place? Like, it existed off of respect, off of honor, off of legitimate competition. Like, let's go in here on a Saturday night. Let's put these 4-ounce gloves on. Let's meet in the middle of this octagon, and let's throw some hands or feet or knees or whatever the case may be, and let's see who the better man is. But it's kind of like a game of Monopoly now. It's like, okay, everybody put your name on a ticket and throw your name in a hat. And, you know, the most popular name out, we're going to draw that ticket out of the hat, and boom, you win a title shot. I mean, that's pretty much how it's operating now, and it's just so frustrating because you've got all of these proven hungry guys that are coming up in the sport and in these divisions in particular, and it's just a damn shame that most of them are getting overlooked just because of popularity. And I'm just like, we already have professional wrestling, okay? Professional wrestling is what it is. Mm-hmm. All right, we don't need something similar to that. That's why pro wrestling existed. Mixed martial arts is supposed to be the real thing. I thought the UFC's slogan used to be as real as it gets, right? Well, lately, I haven't been seeing anything real. If you ask me, most of the stuff that I've been seeing is what's the word I want to say? Inconsistent. I've been seeing inconsistency. And then it's like, it's like you got fighters that's getting injured, and then, you know, like once they withdraw, then they'll probably, you know, bring the next best contender up that they feel can draw the most money and stuff. And see, that's another thing that gets on my nerves. It's like these damn buy rates and these damn ticket sales. And I'm just like, really? I mean, let the fighters dictate the sales. If they can fight, and if they've won a certain amount of matches and the fans get behind them, that's your investment. It's easy. That's the thing about the UFC. They do too much sometimes. I'm just like, Dana, you're doing too damn much. Let the fighters dictate how the company moves, because this is what the sport was built off of. It was built off the fighters. So let the fighters dictate how the sport progresses, and particularly in the UFC, let the best fighters in the division have an opportunity to show what they really got, but they can't, because you want to, cherry pick what you feel is the next best contender in the division, and then say, for instance, that guy that you picked, he goes out and get his ass mowed down within 36 seconds, and then you're sitting up there talking about some, oh well, I just felt like that was the fight to make at that time. That was the fight that made the most sense. Well, no, Dana, it's not like that all the time.
Yeah. I agree with you saying, George, but one thing that people are overlooking, a big thing, is the new endeavor, aka WMEIMG. They're behind the scenes. It's not like if you like Dana White, don't like him. It's not like he just forgot how to promote the sport and do the things he was doing. People haven't noticed since they bought the company how things have changed, and I think they're more behind it than people realize, and people give them a pass, or they're simply overlooking that factor more than Dana White's the face. So they put it on him, but there's no way he just flipped his script off his business plan in midstream without somebody being behind it.
I agree with that too, and just for the record, WMEIMG, apparently Vince McMahon has some relatives in other places, so they're like, oh yeah, y'all go over there, and y'all give us some good entertainment and all this other stuff, So yeah, man, that's why when I first heard about these guys purchasing the UFC, and then I found out who they were, I was like, oh no, R.I.P. to the sport, to the sport. Wow. The key word there, R.I.P. to the sport of mixed martial arts. Because once I heard that they were an entertainment company, I'm like, man, MMA is going to go all to hell now. It's going to be fighters that's going to want fat contracts. They're going to be, holding out of fights if they don't get this amount of money and all of this other stuff. I saw this coming a mile away, like as soon as these guys purchased the company. And I said, man, if Dana doesn't do his best to at least, find the wedge or at least find the balance, in between, them trying to make it into a complete sideshow, then, you're going to lose your fan base, man. Because like I said, we already have professional wrestling. That's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mixed martial arts was not based on entertainment. This was based off of legitimate, tough guys from all different parts of the world coming to one company, the biggest mixed martial arts company in the entire world, as a platform to show their skills and to show why they are some of the best fighters in the world. But it's like now you're kind of defeating the purpose because you want to bring in some money-hungry entertainment people who probably have never watched a UFC fight in their life. Newsflash. They probably can't even tell you. They can't even probably tell you who Hoist Gracie submitted in the first UFC tournament. But they can't even tell you that. But I guarantee it. But I guarantee you, they would want to know how many. They would want to know the statistics of that pay-per-view, though. I bet that.
Yeah, that's all overblown to me. Like, if you're a fan, like, why do you care how much money the UFC is making? Like, why do you care about the ticket sales? Why do you care about, how many was it sold out or not? You shouldn't care about that if you're a fan. You should care about the actual product you're being presented. And I'll tell you why people do care about it. It's because Dana White gets up there, and listen, Dana's done a lot of great things for the sport. He's done a lot of great things. He's obviously got it to where it is now. Sold the company, $4 billion, whatever have you. He's done a lot of great things, still doing a lot of great things. But along the way, he'll do things like, say, Demetrius Johnson. Oh, you guys want to see Demetrius Johnson fight a pay-per-view, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we'll put him in the main event, and we'll see how big it sells. Like, what? You're the promoter. You promote fight. Like, stop demoting guys. He does demote fighters at times, and that is very, very frustrating. Like, you should not bring the financial aspect and put that on the fans to own. Like, that's not their position to own that. They're supposed to own the performances from the fighters and their personalities, and that's it.
Exactly. And see, that's another case of getting the fans too involved and pulling back the curtain too far. See, when you do that type of stuff, because see, this is the one thing about mixed martial arts fans that I've come to know over the years is, like, once you let them in on so much, they'll feel so entitled to the point where they'll feel like they can start to dictate what happens and what doesn't happen.
AKA
And
WWE.
right. And see, Matt, what you were just saying just now, about them, not needing to worry about that, but just worry about, okay, you come and pay your money to see your favorite UFC fighter, you be, entertained, enjoy the fight, and then you take your ass home. You don't need to be, looking up, Forbes, seeing, how much money this person and this person is getting. Like, no. Mm-hmm. Like, you are the fan. You sit there and you watch the fight and you enjoy it. Right. You let Dana and the WME guys and the rest of the UFC staff, you let them take care of that stuff. That's what they're paid to do. Okay? And I mean, it's just it's just frustrating, man. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. It's just the fact that what I'm seeing right now is, a sport that I fell in love with about 5 or 6 years ago, basically just be flipped upside down and turned into, a complete, I don't know what to call it, a money machine or a money market or whatever you want to call it, Yeah. I mean, that's how they treat fighters now. I mean, it's just like that brand new pair of Jordans that just came out. It's like, oh yeah, you want these new pair of Jordans? Well, yeah, we got them on sale. For $4.99. Come get it. Right now. That type of stuff. I mean, that's how they're treating them. And I'm just like, and you wonder why the UFC as a company is starting to slowly decrease in popularity because of what it's become. Because it's fans out there that are hardcore fans that are passionate about seeing their favorite fighters fight. And not only seeing them fight, but fight for a title shot, most importantly, because, that is the obvious goal of every fighter that comes into the sport. But it's just a damn shame because we got all these politics and stuff going around. And I'm just like, what? How did MMA get political? Like, for real? But like I say, man, that's WME. That's all them. That's got them written all over because they are not sport guys. Okay, they're sure. Money guys. For sure. See, when you have when you have a sport guy in charge of something, then as a sports fan, you're pretty much going to get your money's worth. But when you got a money guy, on the other hand, that's running things, they're going to only give you what they want to give you. And that's what we're experiencing right now with this WME regime. They're only giving us what they want us to have instead of, giving us, what we want to see or whatnot. But, it's really just frustrating, fellas. I mean, sometimes like I really have to, kind of, I don't know, hype myself up or just motivate myself to watch, a UFC event nowadays. Cause this is like, man, I remember back, when, I would watch a UFC fight and you would have like the two best contenders, like legitimate two best contenders going at it. And the winner of that fight automatically got a title shot. No politics, no interim title, nothing like that. And another thing about this interim title, I mean, is it a justification thing? Is it an insecurity thing? Why does everybody have to have a damn belt? Hell, they might as well just mail us some belts. Like, here, Kendrick. You're the inaugural UFC heavyweight champion. Here, Matt, you're the inaugural UFC welterweight champion. Here, George, you're the inaugural UFC middleweight champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, why does everybody have to be a champion because you're a top guy? Like, no, that's not okay. Like, I would like to know who came up like with this idea truly, because it couldn't have been Conor. It couldn't have been Conor. Like somebody from behind the scenes was like, okay, well, we're tired of all these fighters bitching about, you know, how they're not getting their just due and all this other stuff. So hell, just go ahead and just make an extra belt. Just let them fight for it. Shoot, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
People don't understand with the Conor thing. They didn't let him fight Mayweather without. So he has to at least fight. From what I've heard, he has to at least fight 2 more times in the UFC by a certain time, or they're gonna get some of his money back. They ain't just sit there and just let this dude go do that, make this money without him coming back. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
He's got to come back. And what you said is spot on. But half of the big thing, once again, it's right in front of our eyes that people in the media game have not drawn attention or threw a fit about. These so-called MMA journalists. R. Emanuel, the man of the CEO, is like the white Al Heyman. No, he's not said a word about UFC publicly, and they've been on this thing for 2 years now. That's why you get to control it and stuff. I don't even know what R. Emanuel looked like. I heard he was in Brooklyn, and I didn't even notice him. And I said, "Here you go." It's like he's like a phantom, bro. But he has not made any public comments about the UFC, and hence this is what we got. That's what you're saying is spot on. But that's where it starts from. Have you seen R. Emanuel?
No, I haven't. But you know, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And the thing of it is too is like the more they allow this to go on, the more that MMA, the sport, is going to lose its credibility. Because I mean, look at it like this. Look at Floyd. Floyd don't know jack shit about mixed martial arts. He don't know nothing about no Muay Thai, no Jiu-Jitsu. You know, he don't know nothing about no Jeet Kune Do. You know, no Taekwondo, nothing like that. I'm talking about like the real hardcore martial arts disciplines of the world. Floyd don't know nothing about that. Floyd, what he did is he probably knew some people that had, you know, some UFC footage or no, better yet, being that he got so much money, he probably just, you know, went somewhere down there in Vegas and probably just, you know, some club or something, just rented out an area and they had a flat screen. They're like, yeah, throwing that MMA stuff. You know,
I think the only reason that this whole Floyd thing is even happening, like Floyd to MMA, is because I don't know this for a fact. I mean, this is purely speculation on my end, but I think when they had the whole Floyd Mayweather thing, him and Dana and all of them were jet setting around the country, 4 stops, you know, worldwide tour, all that stuff. They're like, hey, Floyd, we got our TV deal coming up after this. We're gonna need you to do us a favor. We're gonna need you to, you know, start throwing some attention our way. Maybe kind of tease the idea that you're gonna fight in the UFC. So when our TV deal comes up, we got something big that's gonna attract some people. That's just my speculation.
But here's the thing, though. Floyd hasn't said anything. All he did is took his black ass to syndicate in Las Vegas, put on the MMA outfit, look around, and didn't say a word. He's got 55 million views on this damn video. People going nuts.
He said more since then. He's done interviews. He's done a couple of interviews. So
no, Kendrick. He has done more than that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he's gone so far as to say
he's training
that.
but that's just training.
And his wrestling's a 7 out of 10, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His wrestling's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, Floyd. So you're telling me you went to college? So you're a college-educated man.
He didn't get a high school degree.
I'm just like, what college? I'm like, what college did you go to? The University of Michigan for hardheads? Like, what's? I mean, did you pay off some college professor to give you a diploma or whatever, and you know, get your certification or whatever the case may be? And I didn't even know you could wrestle. Shoot, that's news to me. Shoot, I must have missed the boat. I guess we all must have missed the boat. You know, I guess Floyd must have been wrestling at one of them little, you know, really exclusive junior colleges down there in Michigan. He said his wrestling is a 7.
I just think that he hasn't said he's gonna go into the octagon. So until I hear that, I'm not putting no credence into it. And plus, he's 41. People forget that fact.
Yeah. But see, it goes all back to my point, Kendrick, about how, you know, mixed martial arts is losing its credibility, because it's like, oh yeah, anybody could be a mixed martial arts fighter now. It's like, oh, you wake up, yeah, I'm gonna go to a jiu-jitsu school, get a black belt. Woo, I'm an MMA fighter. Look at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go buy me a pair of Everlast gloves and some nice little, glossy shorts with flames on them, and put some tape on my foot. Yeah, I'm an MMA fighter now. Yeah, woo. You know, it's just guys like him is the reason why the sport is losing its credibility and not, being taken as legitimate as it was 2 or 3 years ago. Like 2 or 3 years ago, if Floyd would have been talking about, I'm coming to do MMA, man, somebody, I don't know, Anderson Silva would have come out there and would have came out and be like, huh, yeah, Floyd, I think he got the mental problem. I think Floyd got the mental problem. See? But it's like nobody's not even stepping up and saying anything. It's just like, oh yeah, Floyd, yeah, come on. Yeah, sure, buddy. Come on over to MMA. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, everybody's an MMA fighter now.
It's weird times, especially when you have things like that going on. But, events like, what we're about to see at UFC 223 gets things on track, man. Hell of a main event, co-main event. Those are two top-tier fights. So, I mean, amidst the chaos, there is still a lot of that purity that we talk about. And,
right.
Hell, even in the true number 1, number 2, Tony versus Khabib, there's still an air of uncertainty about that title bout. So that's the only thing. Like, why the hell haven't you officially announced that Conor's been stripped yet? Like, that whole thing doesn't make any damn sense. But at the end of the day, hopefully, fingers crossed, they actually make it into the cage this time, and then we get to see that. And of course, before that, Rose Namajunas, Johanny and Jacek rematch. There's still a lot of damn good fights.
It is.
But let's just tone down on all the other entertainment aspect.
Right. Like I said, it's a defense. Like I was saying from the very beginning when you first posed the question to me about the whole interim title stuff. It's just a defense mechanism, man. It's just like, everybody. Yeah, you might be on a certain winning streak, and you might be getting close to the top, but the bottom line is, man, you're not there yet. Or you may need, one, signature win, or you may need to beat like 1 or 2, legitimate people in your division to really solidify yourself in that top 10, top 5, top 3. But, you just making it into the top 10, isn't, worthy of a title shot yet, especially if you hadn't beaten anybody, in that category. But it's just like, it's so screwed up now to the point where it's like, oh yeah, you make it to the top 10, you're a top contender, and oh yeah, plus you draw, ticket sales and pay-per-view buy rate, so yeah, you're the number 1 contender.
Darren Till.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I said, man, crazy times, but it's at the same time as all this chaos is going on, it's an exciting time for the sport, man. But it is what it is, and hopefully it starts to even itself out over the next few months into the next couple of years. We'll see some things as the sport, hopefully continues to grow, man. But George, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's been fun. You've given us a lot of good stuff. Can you tell the people where they can find you on the internet space and social media and things like that?
Yes, sir. I definitely can. And before I do that, I just want to thank you and Kendrick for having me on tonight. This is really, really fun. I count this as a privilege and a true honor, to be amongst, you two. And I thank you for sending the invitation out, Matt. And this will definitely not be the last time that y'all will hear from me on Slip and Dip listeners. So, yeah. In the future, just get ready for more George Kennebrew appearances. Believe that. But no, you can find me on the internet, man. You can find me on Facebook. Facebook is simply George Kennebrew. As Matt was telling you before he introduced me, I have my own personal podcast, MMA related, of course. It's called the George Kennebrew Show. And I also have a very esteemed co-host running the show with me as well. His name is Paul Ebinger. Shout out to Paul, my man, Mr. Pollywood. You can check us out on Blog Talk Radio from 9 to 10 p.m. That's right. We're only on for just an hour, but I guarantee you it will be the best, most fun, exciting hour that you will ever experience. You know, we don't just talk about MMA. I mean, you know, Paul's got this fetish for pro bull riding. I'm starting to learn the art of pro bull riding. So yeah, man, y'all make sure, you know, y'all tune in to blogtalkradio.com/the George Kennebrew show and get in on all the fun. Also, I got the George Kennebrew show Facebook fan page. You guys definitely need to go and like that. Check that out. I'm going to be airing all the latest and newest episodes of the broadcast on there. So that way you don't won't have to, you know, go searching around to listen to them. You can just listen to them on the Facebook fan page. Also, I'm on Instagram as well. Voice with the Choice on Instagram. I don't use Twitter that much, but if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at 2livebrew_HD. So there it is.
There it is. Man, this has been fun for sure. We'll definitely have you back on in the near future, man. And
thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it, and you guys have a nice night. And thank you, Slip and Dip listeners, and I will definitely be back. Y'all boys be good. God bless y'all.